It's really nice to see that people are on time. So we have 124 participants. So we're continuing from the same topic. Yesterday we had a topic called the lost wealth. And yesterday we had a nice time discussing and beating Britishers. And we discussed so many points. But then last time or yesterday's session, we ended with one important point that our faith is killed. And today's session is all about reviving that faith as much as possible. So get ready to go deep in today's topic. Before that, we'll offer some prayers. So I'll display the presentation so that you all can follow. So when I'm chanting the prayers, you all can repeat. So I'll be chanting the first line and then you can repeat the next line, the first line after me. Okay, let's start. Please chant. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So is my voice audible to everyone? Can we have some replies in the chat? What happened? Is it audible? Okay. Okay, so let's start with today's session. And we want to discuss Bhagavad Gita, so we have a prerequisite that is currently going on. And the next Sunday, we'll start the actual session, the Bhagavad Gita course or the Gita course. And we dedicate today's presentation also to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and because of whom in the entire world this knowledge, this wisdom of Bhagavad Gita is distributed. So in the last session, if you all remember, yesterday's session we discussed various topics. And one of the important topic that we discussed was how the Vedic scriptures have gone down, the importance of Vedic scriptures has gone down, and people call Vedic scriptures as mythology. And why do they call as mythology? Because of the British influence. And yesterday we discussed to a very great detail that what Britishers did, how they changed the education system, how they removed Sanskrit language and then put English language instead, and how Sanskrit language started becoming dependent on the English language, and how these Britishers misinterpreted the Sanskrit Vedic texts and they undermined the importance of the Vedic scriptures. Today we'll try to discuss that how can we really get that spiritual knowledge? What are the different ways? And what are the different ways these people talk about in this world? Mhm. And what does science say about it? So these are the different topics that we'll discuss. And we'll see how much we'll be able to cover today. And also, around 7:45 or so, we will do mantra meditation. So I'll explain. Yesterday, one participant had asked a question that how mantra meditation is scientific. So we'll discuss that, and then we'll do mantra meditation for 5 minutes, and then we'll take questions. Okay, let's start with today's session. So to acquire any knowledge, we have three ways. In Sanskrit, it is called as Pratyaksha Praman. Pratyaksha Praman basically means, in English, we can translate it as seeing is believing. Many people say, see, whatever I see, I believe that. Whatever I don't see, I don't believe that. Next is Anuman Praman. So what is Anuman Praman? Anuman Praman basically means guess. I guess. I feel it should be like this, etc., etc. This is how people give their opinions. According to me, I feel, I hope, whatever. Shabda Praman is something which comes from the Vedic literatures. And we'll discuss all these three in detail. Let's start with the first one. The most famous, seeing is believing, Pratyaksh Praman. Many times people have this question, that if God is there, ask him to come in front of me. People have so much of audacity to say this, as if God is their servant. I'll clap 3 times and the God will be there in front of me. This is what people feel. But let's try to understand, is seeing is believing, this particular line which is there, seeing is believing, is it really worth speaking again and again? Is it really worth depending on? So let's try to discuss this. Now, the next few slides are a bit, maybe it will be a bit offensive slides, because what we're going to discuss now is human beings, that is all of us, you and me, we all have got 4 defects. 4 defects. Can you imagine we are defective piece? All of us, we have got 4 defects. Let's start with the first one. The first one is imperfect senses. Now you see why it is called as, why our senses are imperfect. Let's try to discuss. Now let's start with the eyes and then we'll go to the other senses. Now when it comes to the eyes, you see, human beings can see only in the visible range. I'm sure all of us have studied this in our school days and college days. So human beings can see only in the visible range. They cannot see outside the visible range. Simple example. Now suppose you enter a dark room. The room is dark. Then you will not be able to see anything. But then when you switch on the light, then there's so many things around, right? But now when the room was dark and the person is saying there is nothing here. Now when he's saying that there is nothing here, then whose fault it is? The eyes are defective. They can see only in the visible range. But in the dark, the snakes can see, the bats can see, yes, the infrared and other regions. So these different animals can see through. That's how these nocturnal animals, they hunt and they get their prey. So in this way, we see that our eyes, they're defective. They're just there in the visible range. So when I'm saying that I can see everything and I'll only believe in what I'm seeing, I don't think that's really intelligent statement. In fact, there's one scientist who says that in the entire creation, human beings can perceive only 1% of the entire creation. 1%. 99% they cannot see. That's what the scientist says. So this is regarding our eyes. Eyes are blind outside the visible range. And to be more precise, 400 to 700 millimicron. That's what is the range. And then when it comes to ears, now you see, we can just hear in the audible range, isn't it? 20 hertz, 20 kilohertz. And I'm sure all of us know this. We have studied, we have by-hearted, we have somehow vomited in the paper. We remember 20 hertz, 20 kilohertz. So now, does that mean that sound does not exist outside 20 hertz, 20 kilohertz? The bats which are there, they use ultraviolet, ultraviolet or infrared, either of them. The frequency, they use a different frequency altogether, by which they understand if there are some obstacles in front. So what they do is they emit the frequency from their body, and then when it goes and touches the obstacle, the reflection comes back, and the bats hear that reflection, and they understand that yes, there is an object, and they take a deviation. They don't go straight. And also, other thing is, there's so many frequencies around. Can we hear 98.5 FM now? Only when you tune it properly at that time through a device, you'll be able to hear. So in this way, we see even our ears are defective. We can hear only in 20 hertz or 20 kilohertz. But there are various sounds outside this range also. Now let's take, for example, our nose. You see, our nose is so nice. Like, for example, you go to an hospital. And there, lots of smell is there. Some medicine smell will be there. And initially, when we enter, we get that smell. You spend some 10 minutes, 15 minutes there, your nose gets acquainted completely, with the smell around. And now you cannot smell whatever is there around. It feels normal, TK. You'll not feel any difference at all. See the defective nose? It cannot give the absolute smell at that particular instance. What about tongue? Okay, I'll tell you a nice activity. Do this. Don't do it physically, just think about it. So now you have eaten sugar first. And after eating sugar, you have eaten a very nice sweet orange with little sourness in that. So after eating sugar, when you're eating the sweet orange, how will you feel? How will you taste how will the orange taste? It will taste sour. Okay. Now, instead of sugar, you eat lemon first. You take lemon drops in your mouth. And then after that, you take the orange, which was sweet, with little sourness. What taste you will get now? Then now you'll feel orange to be very sweet. Look at this, how imperfect our tongue is. Tongue cannot make out what is the absolute taste of the thing. It just senses the relativity. Related. So it's like I ate sugar, and in comparison to sugar, the orange is sour. I ate lemon, and in comparison to lemon, the orange is sweet. So this is how the tongue will give the taste. Now, what about the sense of touch? This is the final one. And let's prove this also is defective. So when it comes to the sense of touch, now, if suppose there is water that is kept. So suppose your body is warm, and the water which is there, so that water is, the temperature of the water is less as compared to that of your body temperature. So when you touch the water, you will actually feel the water to be cold. Why talk about water? Let's take the example of two people having corona. Yes. So now when two people are having fever, what happens? Suppose one person has fever, which is high, say 104, and there's another person who's having fever, say 100. So now when the person having fever 104, when he touches the person having fever 100, so at that time the person who is touching, he will feel, your body is cold. Why are you lying that you have fever? Because our temperature is high, our body temperature is high. When we touch a person with lower temperature, we start feeling that that person's body is cold. So look at this. This is relativity. So our all senses are conditioned. They function in some condition. They are not perfect. It needs some circumstance. It needs some situation. So, hence proved imperfect senses. This is the first defect that we have. Now you tell me, with these imperfect senses, how can we make the statement, seeing is believing? How can we make the statement? I'm speaking science. I'm not speaking anything which is illogical. I'm speaking logic. Tell me, how can we say seeing is believing absolutely correct? Let's go to the next defect. Second defect. Human beings very easily get illusioned. I'm going to display some photos now. These are not GIF images. These are just photos. And you just observe the photos now. And let me know what you're feeling. Okay, this is a photo which I've displayed. Observe the photo very carefully. So all the dots are moving. Yes, in one or the other direction. Isn't it looking like a wave? Okay, let me display another photo now. This is another photo. Now it's a stable passive picture. But you look at this, if you properly observe and look at the image properly, you will see that these flower-like structures are moving in circle. This is called illusion. And right from our childhood, we have studied one very nice topic of illusion, which is called as mirage in the deserts. So we all know it very nicely, very clearly. So human beings are easily illusioned. This is the second defect that human beings have. The third defect that human beings have is committing mistakes. Now, committing mistakes is part of life. If we don't commit mistakes, then how will things work? Then everyone will be a topper in MCQ test. So normally we see small kids, or even college-going kids for that matter. They have this inky, pinky, ponky, and then they'll just tick one of them. Or nowadays it's clicking, so they'll select one of the MCQ option which is there. So committing mistakes is but obvious, very very normal. In fact, the scientists, they committed so many mistakes before. When the research started about the human body, you know what? The brain was considered as an organ to cool the blood. See, brain is such an important organ in the body. If this doesn't work, the person goes into coma. But initially, when the research started, the brain was considered to be an organ which cools the blood. And when it comes to astronomers, they came up with one unit. They came up with one unit, and they measured everything with respect to that particular unit. Like we have centimeters, meters, etc. They also had one unit. Now, after all the measurements that was done, through various instruments, what happened is, one of them, they discovered that this unit is incorrect. Can you imagine? You measure the distance between sun and the earth and different planets, and finally you understand the unit is wrong. So this is what happened. So committing mistakes is but obvious for a human being. So 3 defects we have covered till now. First, imperfect senses. Second, we easily get illusion. Third, committing mistakes. We easily commit mistakes. And fourth, and the final one, is cheating propensity. Now you look at this cheating propensity. People are ready to cheat anyone and everyone in this world for their own benefit. Sometimes people cheat themselves also to prove some point right. The cheating propensity is very, very natural within a human being, very natural. Now, when no one is saying, chalo cheating kar de, kya? No, what's the problem? In fact, nowadays, I'm hearing from my students that online exams are going on in schools and colleges. So I was asking one of them, there's no cheating that happens. Nahi, Prabhuji, no, we have full independence to cheat. And you know what they do? So they have a WhatsApp group, and in the WhatsApp group, anyone who gets the answer first, they'll post the answer first in the WhatsApp group. And then, everyone will answer. The question will be answered correct by everyone. This is what is going. In fact, the faculties are having tough time now in this corona to evaluate different students, especially engineering students. Really difficult. So in this way, we see cheating propensity, but obvious a person cheats. But obvious a person cheats for his own benefit. These are the 4 defects that a person has. First, imperfect senses. Second, easily getting illusion. Third, committing mistakes. And fourth, cheating propensity. These are the 4 defects in a human being. And now you can tell me, with these 4 defects, how can we say that we are perfect and seeing is believing is correct? Seeing is believing is completely incorrect. Completely incorrect. Hmm? Only some part of it may be correct. Okay, I'm seeing this bottle, so yes, it is there. But there are various things which we don't see. We don't see at all. So, like for example, air I'm not able to see. Hmm? Maybe I can feel it, but a person who says no, only through eyes, whatever I'll see, I'll believe that. Hmm? You cannot see your mind. You cannot perceive your mind. But it is the greatest culprit that puts the person in the lowest of the lowest forms and the greatest of the miseries. Mind, which we cannot see. Intelligence. Now, how will you perceive intelligence with your five senses? Only when the person speaks, you'll understand the person is intelligent or not. In fact, this is very rightly said that a fool can be found out only when he opens his mouth. Now, if you just observe a person, you can never judge and understand, oh, is he intelligent or not? So in this way, we see that there's so many subtle things in this world which we cannot perceive with our five defective senses. Then how can we say seeing is believing is totally correct? By the way, seeing is believing was not in our Indian culture. This was got by the foolish Britishers. They got it here. And they educated very nicely. See, our Vedic scriptures talks about very, very high subtle things and spiritual things. So we have three levels of understanding. So one is on the gross platform, whatever you can see with your eyes. Second is subtle thing, which you can just feel. And there are some spiritual things which are really high and that you can perceive only through spiritual practices. So Vedic scriptures talk about the subtle and the spiritual aspects also. But whereas the current science, it only talks about the gross aspects of this world and nothing else. This is what is the truth. Unfortunate situation, but yes, this is what is the truth. So seeing is believing. So it's not very correct, completely correct. So we reject that. Let's go to next one. So seeing is believing. In Sanskrit, it is called as Pratyaksha Praman. You can remember the Sanskrit also. The second one is Anuman Praman. Now, Anuman Praman basically means guesswork. Now, it's very nice, it's a very nice understanding. If suppose you ask an engineering, one of the engineering student that explain how this entire human body works. So the engineering student might say that, no, how will I know? I'm not an MBBS student to explain this. You ask an MBBS student, explain that how this motor works. He might say, hey, come on, I'm not an engineering student to explain this. But to both of them you ask, explain something about God. Explain something about the thing which is unseen. Then people will start speaking. I feel, according to me. These are the different words that people use. This is called as guesswork. I feel it should be like this. In my opinion, it should be like this. I have one question to all of you all. Our guesswork which is there, we are guessing through this body of five senses, and we already said the five senses are defective. Then how can our guesswork be perfect? Tell me. I have one nice example to understand this. You look at the screen. So there is a nice story. So there were 6 blind men in the village. They were blind right from the childhood and they've never seen an elephant. So when the elephant came for the first time in the village, so these 6 blind men were left free and they were asked that, describe what is an elephant. So now one person went and, he held the tail and he said, elephant is a rope. And then other person, he went and then he held the leg of the elephant. He said, elephant is the trunk of the tree. And another person, he's touching the body of the elephant, which is pretty hard. And he's saying, elephant is a wall. So all of them are saying, according to my opinion, I feel that elephant is a trunk, elephant is a sword, elephant is an arrow, elephant is a snake. So these are the different opinions that people have given. Now tell me which one is correct. Anuman Praman fails very badly. Sometimes coincidentally, in Hindi we say tukka marna. So tukka maar ke samajh jata hai. Tukka maar ke kabhi kabhi baith jata hai. It comes correct. Sometimes just out of blue you just close your eyes and hit the arrow it might go and hit the right spot sometimes, not always. So Anuman Praman can also not be accepted to understand the higher truths of life. So Pratyaksha Praman, seeing is believing, not completely correct, so we cannot accept. Anuman Praman, the guesswork, again, we cannot completely accept, because that also comes from this defective body. So now what remains is Shabda Praman. What is Shabda Praman basically? Let's try to understand this. The truth of life is mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. And these truths which are there, they are given one after another through a succession called as Guru Shishya Parampara, Guru disciplic succession. And who has written these Vedic scriptures? Or who has spoken these Vedic scriptures? Directly, the Supreme Person, the Creator, He has spoken whatever is needed for happy living for human beings. He has spoken. And all these words, all these divine words, were received through the ear and spoken through the mouth in succession. So the disciple will hear the Guru speaking. And then when the disciple, he realizes, he becomes the Guru, he speaks, and his disciples hear. So in this way, in the chain of selfless disciplic succession, we receive the Vedic knowledge, and that is called as Shabda Praman, through Shabda. And this is perfect. Why? Because the source is perfect. The source is divine. But now you might say, okay, this will not do. Give us some logic. In the first two, you gave logic. The third one also, we want logic. So we have logic here also. Let's try to analyze, and let's try to see if Shabda Praman is really bona fide or not. Very interesting. See why I got to these 2 points first. Seeing is believing, and I guess, that is guesswork. These two are the contamination that is put by the Britishers in India. Indians had thorough faith on Vedic scriptures. There was no question of not believing in Vedic scriptures. It was only when these foolish Britishers arrived here and spoiled our consciousness, spoiled our faith. Literally, they literally killed our faith. This is the right line, killing the faith. They literally killed our faith in the Vedic scriptures. So now, the so-called educated people, especially people like us who are engineers, and very other educated personalities in the society, they have this thing in the mind. What is that? I will believe whatever I see. That's it. I'll not believe anything else. This is what is the thing. And that is the reason what has happened. There are various spiritual aspects which you cannot perceive by your defective senses. That has a process. That has to be gone through a process. Then only you'll be able to perceive. Now, what people are doing? People have rejected the practices, rejected the process, and using these defective senses, they want to perceive everything of this world, which is impossible. And we proved it now. Now let's try to understand about Shabda Praman. That is Vedic scriptures. Knowledge from the Vedic scriptures. So what is the proof of validity of Vedic scriptures? Okay, if you have any questions, you all can post at the end of my talk when I open the floor for questions. Then only I'll be able to access the questions. And if you have any questions, you can post now also. And I have got one of my students who can help me out to get your questions. So you can post your questions even now if you have any. Now let's try to go one by one and try to understand this proof of Vedic scriptures. Axiomatic truth, second predictions, and third is manual. Let's go one by one and try to understand. First, axiomatic truth. So the definition of axiomatic truth means self-evident thing which does not require any proof. And we have many aspects like this which are called as axiomatic truth even in our scientific study. Like for example, point. What is the definition of point? Definition of a point is circle with zero radius. Kisne dekha hai circle with zero radius? Who has seen circle with zero radius? But we assume yes, point is a circle with zero. Zero radius means what? No, it should disappear. It should be invisible. But then here we see that circle with zero radius is called as a point, and we accept. I, letter I, Now, definition says we cannot plot on the number line. We cannot plot on the real number line. So we have something called as imaginary number line. We made one and we accepted the imaginary number I. And this is used in so many calculations at so many places. So these are called as axiomatic truth. That is, the things which don't require any proof, they exist in reality. So Vedic scriptures are like axiomatic truth which does not need any proof. And they don't change with time. They are always stable. They were valid before, they're valid now, and they'll be valid in future. This is the glory of Vedic scriptures. Look at this. But now let's try to understand about science. When it comes to science, now I being a person who has done MTech from BITS Pilani in microelectronics, so I have dealt a lot about these atoms, atoms and molecules and other things. So I took this example, which is very dear to my heart. So now when it comes to an atom, if you remember, in our school days or in 11th standard, 12th standard, first PU, second PU, we started studying the smallest particle or smallest thing that exists in an object is called atom. So Dalton said this. Dalton, a scientist called Dalton said this. Smallest particle is atom. Then came another person called Rutherford. I hope you remember all these names. he said that no, atom is not the smallest particle. In the atom, we have neutrons and protons and electrons. They are the smallest particles. And then after that, another person came and he said, no. In the nucleus, we have even more smaller particles, neutrino, protino, and so on. And then finally, Schrodinger comes and he says, Arey, forget about particle. Actually, it's a wave. Then he gave dual theory. And that is, matter is wave. So you look at this, the scientific theories keeps changing. You ask any scientist who has written a paper, scientific paper, you ask him, will this be valid forever? You know what the scientist would say? The scientist would say that no, I cannot guarantee, because if someone gives some other good research, then maybe my research will not be that valid. This goes on to say that your research is just not there. Till the point another person comes and overtakes your research work. This is called science. This is called scientific theories. They keep changing one after another whenever there is new discovery or new research. But when it comes to Vedic scriptures never change. They are the same right from the start. They are the same and they're perfect. They're complete and perfect knowledge. In fact, there is a challenging statement given in Vedic scriptures which says, if you can prove any statement wrong in the Vedas, you can reject entire Vedas. Entire body of Vedas can be rejected. Look at the confidence. Tell me, can any scientist give this statement that if you can prove any part of my thesis, any research work, you can reject my entire research work? Vedic scriptures can say that. And one of the important things that we have to understand is that now, with time, even the modern science is confirming different Vedic truths. Obviously, the equipments were not there before. Now the equipments have come. So they're able to prove some of the Vedic truths. What are those? Cow dung. Now you look at the cow dung and cow urine, how greatly it is used to make so many antiseptic stuffs. It might be the soap, or it might be, nowadays we're using the sanitizers and we are using liquid soaps and so on and so forth. So many of them, they're using cow dung and cow urine. Now recently, a few decades back, the modern science has proved that cow dung and cow urine has got antiseptic properties. And they use it in various medicines, they use it in various other things wherever antiseptic properties needed. But you look at our ancient, Indian culture, cow dung was used long time back in all the houses. In fact, previously, people would directly apply cow dung on their body and take bath. That was a nice moisturizer and a nice soap. There was no need of any moisturizing soap. And they would apply in their entire house. Even now in various villages. Now they don't know what property it has, but they're using it. They'll put it in front of their house and they will put it on the walls of the house. And if you ask them, they'll tell one thing very clear: insects don't come inside. Air will remain pure. And when the climate is hot outside, you'll feel nice cooling sensation inside. Hmm. So this is practiced from long time. Our Indians, they knew much before, even before the modern science proving it right. Hmm. And now we are believing it, by the way. Yes, now we so-called scientific students, now we are believing it. Let's go and take another example. Earth. Hmm. Now, in Sanskrit, what is earth called as? Hmm. Please don't reply on the chat box. There are 185 participants, so I cannot take these comments. Don't reply in the chat box. So, what is earth called in Sanskrit? It is called as bhugol. Bhu means bhumi and gol means round. Bhugol. So it is well known in the Vedic scriptures that the earth is round. But for us, the so-called modern scientific students, we believed only when one person, by the way, previously it was believed that earth is flat, right? One person, he traveled from one place and then, he traveled all the way. And then when he came back to that point, he concluded earth is round. Don't you think this is stupidity? Yes. Only when someone went around the entire planet and he proved the earth is round, we believed it. But Vedic scripture talking, it says bhugol. It's goal, it's round, it's proved before itself. Now recently in the scientific studies, recently means decades back, some decades back, with a lot of scientific analysis, microscopes when came into picture and various other equipments came into picture. Apparatus, scientific apparatus came into picture. At that time, it was proved that plants have life. But then it's very clear that plants have life. In the Vedic scriptures, it's very clear. Very, very clear. That is the reason, the leaves are not plucked in the night time. And there are many plants which are worshipped and so on and so forth. But for us, for so-called modern scientific students, for us, when we keep the plant at one place and then it moves towards the sun, at that time, plant is moving. Oh, it has life. And then carbon dioxide oxygen is emitted from the plant and carbon dioxide is taken for photosynthesis. All this analysis, after all this analysis, we are believing that plants have life. But Vedic scriptures talk about this long time back. I'm talking about time immemorial, 5,000, and even much before that, these Vedic scriptures are given to all of us. I have one very startling example for all of you. This is called as the development of fetus into embryo, and then it goes on, and finally a human child is formed. You look at this wonderful. So this photo I have taken from sonography. So it's a sonographic photo, and it is a part of human embryology. Now you look, it's so interesting. You look at how it is developing so nicely. 5,000 years back, Vyasadeva, he wrote a book called Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. In that, very clearly, the last few chapters talk about how the human embryo develops, or in fact, it talks about right from the day one, when the male and female, when they come together, when the semen and the ovum or egg, when they unite. So what happens on the first day? Then what happens on the second day? And then after 3 months, what happens? After 5 months, what happens? All this clear description is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, which was written 5,000 years back by Vyasadeva, who is none other than God himself in his literary incarnation. But then we will believe only when we can see, right? So only when sonography came, and then when we were able to see all this, then we believe, okay, this is how it develops. Look at the foolishness of ours. We believe only when we are able to see. We are still waiting for modern science to prove various things. I think couple of years back, NASA, it proved that the frequency coming from the sun is identical with the frequency of the Bij Akshara of Sanskrit, which is called as Om. The frequency of Om is matching with the frequency coming from the sun. This is what NASA proved. And this is given already in Vedic scriptures, that from the sun planet, sun god is chanting Om. So obviously, it will come. It will come. Yes. But then we will wait. We'll wait for the science to prove and then we'll believe. High time. High time that we have to open our eyes now. High time. We have a treasure with us. We have Vedic scriptures with us. Why are we still waiting for someone else, some foreigner, to prove it correct? And then we start believing. Why we have to wait for all that? So this was one proof, that is axiomatic truth. So it does not require any proof. Whatever is given in Vedic scriptures, it is the truth. It was valid before, it is valid now, it will be valid in future. Next one, astonishing predictions from the scriptures. So these scriptures, which are written 5,000 years back and much more before that, there are various predictions those are given. And those predictions have all come true. Some of the predictions. Lord Chaitanya. So I've taken these predictions from this same book called Srimad Bhagavatam, very, very important book. By the way, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, they're two different books. Okay, they're not same. So Srimad Bhagavatam is different and Bhagavad Gita is different. We'll discuss sometime later. So from Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, see I've written the reference also. You can go and refer if you want. You can Google it. Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, 5th chapter, 32nd shloka talks about the personality called Lord Chaitanya, who appeared 535 years back. And the scripture was written 5,000 years back, 5,000 plus years back. An exact description is given where this great personality is going to appear, what will be his activities, who will be his parents, what will be his complexion, everything is mentioned. Gautam Buddha. So even about him, we have this reference in 1st canto, 3rd chapter, 24th shloka. Very clearly it is given what sort of incarnation this is, and what will be his activities, where he'll take birth, so on and so forth. Then we have Chanakya Pandit. Even about him, the reference is given. So various activities, what he'll do, that was mentioned. King Ashoka. So it was mentioned about him. In fact, you'll be amazed to know that even about Christ and Prophet Muhammad, we have their names mentioned in Bhavishya Puran, in Atharva Veda. I've mentioned the source also. Look at this, how wonderful the predictions are. I was giving this session to students, to college students. So one of the college students was asking me, that is there my name also mentioned in the scriptures? Like, great personalities' names will be mentioned, not mortal being like us. And in fact, there are many more predictions which are coming true. I'll just read it out. So in Kali Yuga, the current age, wealth alone will be considered the sign of man's good birth. That's what is happening now. Anyone who is wealthy is great. Proper behavior and qualities are not that great. That's what nowadays people say. Jiske paas paisa hai, whoever has money, whoever has wealth, he has power also. And then law and justice will be applied only on the basis of one's power. And we see this now. We see what happens in the court and other places. And then this shloka says, men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, that is infatuation. And success in business will depend on deceit. How nicely you can cheat someone, you can grow in business very nicely. Yes. And womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex. And a man will be known as a Brahmana just by his wearing a thread. Now you see, that's what is coming true. Yes. And we have one more prediction that has not yet manifested, which is Kalki avatar. So Lord Kalki, now this is given very clearly. Look at this. Lord Kalki will appear in the home of the most eminent Brahmana of Shambhala village, the great soul, Vishnu Yasha. This is the name of his father, Vishnu Yasha. See the precise nature of the Vedic scriptures. Clearly it is talking about where this incarnation or where this great personality is going to appear. In fact, there are other verses. I've just pasted one verse here. There are other verses which gives even the activities what this personality is going to do. Kalki avatar. So this is the second proof that there are predictions which have come true from Vedic scriptures. The first one was Vedic scriptures are axiomatic truth. It does not need any proof. Second is the astonishing predictions which have come true, and obviously whatever is mentioned will come true as well. And finally, the third proof is, now suppose you will say, nahi, we don't believe in this axiomatic truth, and we don't believe also in these predictions. Kisne pata, kisne, someone might have written it recently, who knows? But this third proof, which I'm giving you all, is really great one. It is an instruction manual. Vedic scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita, are instruction manual. See, every machine comes with a manual. So this body is like a machine. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 61 shloka, he says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddheshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani maya. He says this body is like yantra. This body is like a machine. So machine will come with a manual, and he has given us a manual. Krishna has given us a manual called Bhagavad Gita. So now if someone says, no, I don't believe in all the proofs that you have given, okay, no problem. Take this one. Take this manual. And anyone who follows the manual, he'll understand. He'll understand how great it is and how much truth is there in this manual. In fact, if you practice, you'll get the reality. You'll understand the reality. It's like, the taste of the cake or taste of the pudding is there, or you can easily get it when you eat it instead of description. So I'll not describe all these things. When you start practicing yourself, when you start following the manual yourself, you yourself will experience. And this is science. This is science. What do you mean by science? Science has got aim, apparatus, then we have observation, and then procedure, and then we have observation, and we have conclusion. This is science. So we have an aim, and then we follow all this and finally conclude. So our aim is, are Vedic scriptures really a truth? Are really a reality or not? That's the aim. What is the apparatus? Bhagavad Gita. What is the procedure? Follow the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. And then observation. Observe if there are some changes in you after prolonged practice. And then you can conclude after prolonged practice, if it is working, yeah. So Bhagavad Gita or the Vedic scriptures are really the truth of life. And if you find there is no change, I think reject it, no problem. But a science student will start with aim, apparatus, procedure, observation, and conclusion. But nowadays we have so-called science students and scientific students who have an aim that Bhagavad Gita or Vedic scriptures are truth or not, and finally conclude without going to anything. This is just mythology. This is what people do. This is nonsense. Literally, this is nonsense. If you call yourself a science student, you have to go through all this, and then only you can conclude. Yes. So this is so nice to understand that how great this knowledge is from Vedic scriptures. It works. It was working before. It's working even now. It will surely work in future. The things that are given in Bhagavad Gita are so amazing. So amazing. Anyone who applies those principles in life, that person can be peaceful within, stable within, and happy forever. Literally. And there's a nice shloka which talks about that, which says, Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Gavavam Dharmyam So Sukham Kartum Avyayam. So this is very clearly given that Pratyaksha Vagamam. It means you can easily experience this wonderful aspects of the Vedic scriptures by practice, by self-realization. Now, after explaining all this also, if suppose, someone says, if someone has this question again, sometimes people have this. After hearing the entire Ramayana, people will ask, who is Ram? If suppose anyone in the crowd belongs to this category, and if you have this question, why should we put our faith in scriptures? Let me answer your question in simple terms. When, now all boys are there in the session. So when you go to saloon, and the person who is shaving you has got the razor here. He's shaving, right? So he's shaving, and then he has got the razor here at your neck. But then you're sitting peacefully. You're completely peaceful. You're sitting peacefully without any fear. And you have complete faith in that person, the barber. You have complete faith on him that he will just shave and not cut. But do you know that person in and out? But we have complete faith in that person. How? Another example. Now, when it comes to aeroplane, I'm sure most of you might have traveled in plane. If not, then at least bus and train. So when you take a ticket, you just go and sit in the plane or train or bus. Now, after taking a ticket, when you enter the aeroplane, do you go and knock at the pilot's door and you ask him, "Pakka tu leke jayega na? Will you really take me to the destination or not?" Do you go and ask the bus driver or train driver that will you take really to the destination? We just take the ticket and we sit in the plane, train, bus. We have complete faith in the driver that he will take me to my destination and not crash me in between. Look at this. But do we know anything about the driver? Sometimes we don't see the pilot at all. We don't see the bus drivers at all, or sometimes, and train drivers who I see again. And we don't care also. We are not very much interested to meet them and talk to them. So can you imagine? Without our notice, we have complete faith in these personalities. Another example. You're sleeping very nicely on the stretcher, and the person is holding knife in the hand, scissors in the hand, and we are sleeping peacefully, thinking, no, this person will cure me. He'll not kill me. And Baba, knife is there in the hand. Only because he's holding like this, no, you're thinking he'll cure. If he holds like this, he'll kill. But knife is there in the hand. Do we know Kula Gotra of the doctor? We know him in and out. We don't. But still we have complete faith. Look at our situation. We have faith in every Tom, Dick and Harry except Vedic scriptures. This is what is our current situation. All glories to the Britishers. This is their contamination that has come in us. Why don't we try? Why don't we try applying the principles of Bhagavad Gita in our life? And when we apply those principles, automatically we'll see the changes. We need not think, will it work or not? It will. We have experienced, we have observed. And with that confidence, we're speaking. It will, right? So the conclusion after speaking all this. So why the Vedic scriptures of Shabda Praman is the best? Axiomatic truth. It can never be proved wrong. It does not need any proof. Second, we saw that how there are various astonishing predictions. And thirdly, we saw it acts like manual. And finally, if you don't believe in all the three, we invest our faith in so many people. Let's invest faith here and see if it works or not. Right? And a science student is a student who puts his faith and then he goes through and then finally concludes. Did I put my faith in the right place or not? Yes. So my conclusion in this presentation is this. Vedic scriptures should be accepted as it is, especially Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita should be accepted as it is, and the name itself is as it is. Yes. And when we accept it as it is and apply in our life, we will see the changes. Like yesterday, so many people, so many of you are asking the same questions. How can I overcome my anger? How can I overcome my stress and distress? How can I overcome my lusty desires? How can I overcome my addictions of pornography and masturbation? How can I overcome all these problems? So many questions were there yesterday. The only solution to all that is Bhagavad Gita. Easily you can overcome. And one of the important things that we did yesterday, that is mantra meditation. Yesterday someone asked me a question that can you explain how mantra meditation is scientific? Let me explain that and we'll do mantra meditation now. And if you have any questions after mantra meditation, you all can post in the chat box and we'll discuss. So why mantra meditation is scientific? Let me explain you now. So what science says is, science says that if you engage 2 or more senses in doing one particular activity, you will easily focus and you'll be able to control your mind. And that's what mantra meditation does. You speak the mantra, you speak it softly to hear. So you're speaking with your tongue, you're hearing with your ear, and then you're counting with your fingers or you're counting on the beats. So sense of touch is also involved. And then when I display the Maha Mantra on the screen, you can see also your eyes are also engaged. So in this way, we understand that there are 2 or more senses, in fact, 3 or more senses engaged in this particular activity, and easily our mind gets focused when we are chanting. And it has to be done properly. And when we do that, automatically the mind gets focused. And mantra meditation is a technique, especially for this age of Kali Yuga. Because we Kali Yuga beings, we are completely distracted and completely disturbed. We need this, to be stabilized to get that inner strength. Yes. So having said this, let's do the practicals now. Let's do the meditation. So I request all of you all the participants, sit in a relaxed position, if possible on the ground with crossed leg, and close your eyes and repeat the mantra after me. And we'll be chanting the mantra like we did yesterday, 25 times. And after that, you can open your eyes. So when you're chanting the mantra, the only thing that you have to do is focus on each and every word in the mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these are the 16 words. Just try to focus on every single word when you're chanting. So please repeat after me. This is whenever we start mantra meditation, we chant this first sloka, which is displayed on the screen. And after that, we start chanting the Maha Mantra, and that we'll be chanting for 25 times. So please repeat after me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Now all of us can look at the screen, see the mantra. If you already know the mantra, then close your eyes and let us start chanting together. Your voice can be soft and you should be able to hear your voice. I'll also be chanting, but you try to focus on your voice and not on mine. Let's start chanting together, everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So one last time, all of us together with a lot of intensity and a lot of focus. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please open your eyes and we're back to the place. So now I open this floor for questions. You all can ask questions. Thank you very much. By the way, all of you all sat so, um, you all were tuned. Basically, I could see that the number is constant throughout. Thank you very much for your attention. So let's go through the questions now. Okay, so we have Agni Tejas saying great experience. Yes, we have so many people saying thank you. Okay, let's take questions. You can please post your questions and I'll try to answer some of it. And by the way, some announcement before I proceed to questions. So next week, we'll be having a session only on Sunday. So Sunday, 7 o'clock we meet, and one of my friend will be coming to give a session. So he's also really an amazing speaker. So you all can hear from him. And next session, we are actually starting the study of Gita. So please be there. And obviously I'll come after a few sessions, I'll be back. And I'll also give some sessions on Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let's take some questions. You're able to find questions? Okay. So Deepak Kumar, he's asking that do we have any age group for this session planned? So Deepak, the age group basically is the youth, because these sessions are very nicely made for the youth. So age group maybe 18 to 33 or something. And we have, for married people, we have got separate sessions that will start after Janmashtami. So we have got a separate series of sessions that will start for them, because the needs of married and unmarried are different. So that has to be addressed accordingly. So we have this session especially is for the unmarried people. Do the recorded videos are shared in the WhatsApp group? Yes, it is shared. So today, I think yesterday's video was shared. If Shabda Praman is correct, then she must have experienced through seeing and guessing. See, here comes our limitation. So we feel that only when we see, only when we experience, we'll be able to understand. But understand one thing, that the Creator himself, Lord Krishna himself, he has given us these Vedic scriptures, which we call it as Shabda Praman. So there is no defect when it comes to the Creator's words. And so I gave various proofs. Yes. So anyways, these things can be experienced, when we go through the Shastra very clearly and apply that in our life, especially Bhagavad Gita. Okay, we should not blame only Britishers believing others. Yes, Shivajit, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. It's a very amazing point which you're making. It's our mistake also that we blindly had faith on them. Yes. So Nitin Prabhu is asking this question. Even if the source is perfect, sometimes while transferring, there are high chances of additional misinformation which will be added by the person conveying. Best example is China's Chinese whisper game. You're absolutely correct. But then we're not talking about any Chinese game. We're talking about a succession called as Guru Disciplic succession. This succession is a chain of selfless people. Please understand this. Now, when will the distortion happen? When will the contamination gets added in between? Only when a person has got a selfish motive in between. But when there are people who are selfless, who just wants to serve the humanity, they will pass on the message as it is. And we do have such selfless disciplic successions even now. Even now. That is the reason we have retained the Vedic knowledge. In fact, so many of them were burnt by Mughals and Britishers, especially Britishers. But still it was retained by this Guru Disciplic succession. So that is the point. That is the point. That is the answer for your question, Nitin. How can we make Bharat a Sanskrit speaking country? Firstly, we have to understand the life manual that is Bhagavad Gita. At least understand those 700 shlokas which are given in Sanskrit and apply those, at least few in our life. Then when we get that confidence, then surely, we'll be able to propagate this knowledge of Sanskrit, the Vedic knowledge in Sanskrit. Then it will be possible. So where can we learn Sanskrit? See, learning Sanskrit will take 12 years for your information. So there is no need of learning Sanskrit. If we just understand Bhagavad Gita, that is enough. Vikramaditya is asking a question. I heard some parts of Bhavishya Puran is destroyed. Yes, yes. So many of the Vedic scriptures are destroyed. Some parts are retained. Shrikar's question: if everything is mentioned in the Vedas, then in the end of the world to predict? Yes, it is predicted. That is called as pralaya. There are two types of pralaya. One is called as partial annihilation, and the other one is called as complete annihilation. So these two are mentioned. These two are mentioned. And what happens during that time, that is also mentioned very clearly. Why are we focusing to check whether we are imperfect or not? We are actually in a simulator created by God, where He is searching for the best time zoned planet. Or else, why will He create something only to destroy it? Okay. So the person called I am satisfied wants some. He is asking this question. So, see, understanding the purpose of the world is very important. So, your understanding which you are giving, so this is what you feel, but there is an understanding what is the purpose of this world. We have to understand the purpose of this world. So, in the future sessions, the purpose of the world will be very clearly described. So, maybe you can attend the sessions and then we can attend the future sessions. And I'm sure all your questions will be answered, especially this question. Today's session was an eye-opener. Thank you, Sriram. Thank you very much for your comment. Satish, how to overcome fear? Yesterday also I answered this. Fear, depression, stress, all these will be easily overcome when we are in touch in various spiritual practices, when we do various spiritual practices. And the goal of the Gita course is to logically and scientifically explain Bhagavad Gita and help the participant to apply that in day-to-day life. So we can do that. So please attend the sessions. You'll be able to overcome all the fears, including the fear of death. How to start reading all Gita and the other Vedas. So Sunil, see, we don't have time for reading Vedas. It's huge, it's vast. But the essence of all the Vedas is Bhagavad Gita. So, in ISKCON, it's in fact, the widely distributed Bhagavad Gita all over the world is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. You'll find it on internet. You can order it from Amazon or Flipkart or whatever. You can find it there. You can also get some nice PDF also of Bhagavad Gita as it is. So start reading from first page from the contents, and go and start reading. In fact, when you attend these sessions of Gita, which we'll be having from next week onwards, it will be very easy for you to understand Bhagavad Gita. Very easy. This is the experience of various students who have attended this course. So it will be very easy, to go through Bhagavad Gita. How to overcome shyness? So shyness is simple. When you become bold within, you'll not be shy, and you can become bold when you're strong within, and that will come through spiritual practices. Can we have a 2-hour session? In fact, Milan, you can get the recording of the session. It will be posted in the group. Can we have a 2-hour session? Supreet, in fact, I also want a 2-hour session because it's very difficult for me to speak just for 45 minutes. All my sessions are 1.5 hours, 2 hours. But then considering the attention span of people, we have reduced it to 45 minutes. Maybe in future, when the crowd stabilizes, when we see that a lot of interested people are staying back even during question and answer session, and they want to learn more about Bhagavad Gita, we'll be happy to extend the time and share more wisdom. We'll do that. Mahantesh is asking a question. I'm already folk member. ISKCON is nice organization. Oh, thank you very much. It's very nice. Thank you for attending these sessions. If I follow Gita and Vedic literatures, will I be able to fight evil of real world? Ashish is asking this question. Ashish, all the evil is there in this world because we have rejected our Vedic practices, spiritual practices. As soon as we start practicing this wonderful aspect of mantra meditation and the principles mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, without our notice, there will be so much of positivity. Then there is no question of evil coming into picture. No question. Deepak's question, difference between Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita is the teachings of Lord Krishna, and Bhagavatam is the case study. Case study of when these different principles of Bhagavad Gita were applied, by various devotees, various followers of Gita. What happened, how they could apply. So basically, Bhagavad Gita describes about what Krishna spoke, and Bhagavatam describes about the activities of Krishna and his devotees. So hope Deepak, this answers your question. Halesh is asking this question. Guruji, you didn't answer. Where is the all wealth gone? Are these Britishers took? These thieves took it away. But by the mercy of the Guru disciplic succession, as I already mentioned, the Vedic treasure is still retained. So we are fortunate. And one of them is Bhagavad Gita. So we are very fortunate to have that. Okay. I have a statue of Lord Krishna. I'm not able to do puja every day on time. Will it affect my daily life? Prakash, don't worry. There is no fear when it comes to worship of Lord Krishna. We have to worship with love, and that's what will be taught, in the future sessions. Most important thing in Kali Yuga is chanting. Most important is mantra meditation. If you're able to do that, it's okay. Even if you're not able to worship, it's okay. But at least mantra meditation can be done, on day-to-day basis. Okay, so Tarun says, I read Gita daily, but I'm not able to understand deeply. Tarun, so that is the reason we have this Gita course. So please attend all the sessions. And I challenge, you'll be able to understand Gita very nicely. Can we get Gita book from your side? Because most of them are not having, including me. Hemant, we can do that. What you can do is, you can search Bhagavad Gita as it is. I'll paste here the spelling. So when you type this on Google, you will get ISKCON's Bhagavad Gita. So you can order it from Amazon or Flipkart, and you'll be able to get the authentic one, the bona fide one. I find it hard to meditate. Mostly it's like focusing on my breath, sometimes thinking something while eyes closed. I have been practicing it since last 1 year. So Prashant, what you're practicing is basically called as void meditation. And void meditation is very difficult. Basically, void meditation means you have to empty your mind. And how can you empty your mind? It's very difficult. So what you're supposed to do is, if you're really finding that meditation difficult, switch to mantra meditation, the meditation that I've taught today and yesterday. So try practicing this mantra meditation, because in mantra meditation, you have an activity to do. You can speak, you can hear. So the focus of the mind will be much more, it will be much more effective as compared to the void meditation. Hope this answers your question. Ajay, how can youth be attracted towards religion in this era? So Ajay, we together can do that. We have to first understand what is there in our Vedic scriptures, especially what is there in Bhagavad Gita. And when we understand that, and when we apply that in our life, we'll get that confidence. And when we get that confidence of and the faith, the staunch faith that yes, Bhagavad Gita works, we'll be able to speak with confidence to others. And that's what is needed to get the youth to understand or to accept Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic scriptures. We can do that. So hope this answers your question, Ajay. And it's really a nice thing that you have mentioned. I'm very happy you're thinking towards this direction. Ajay's question is very nice. At least he's thinking to help people. Very nice. Sumit is asking this question. I want to be lean in God Bhakti, but I got stuck in family, thinking my future with my wife and all. What can be the solution for this? Sumit, if you're married, so a person who is married cannot renounce the family. Only when a person is bachelor, he has two options, either to become a monk or to get married. So if you're already married, your responsibility is to take care of your family nicely. You cannot give up your family. So one thing that you can do is help all your family members to practice spirituality, to practice bhakti very nicely. So when you do that, then it's very simple. Then if everyone is devotees in the house, then what is the problem? Your house is a Vaikuntha. Yes. So you can do that. You can do that. In fact, I would suggest, Sumit, that you can attend my sessions. I'll be taking this after Janmashtami. I guess it will start from 16th. So this will be a Gita course especially meant for married people. You can attend that. These sessions are especially meant for unmarried people. So no, so unmarried ones can attend this. Kunal, how we can implement the words of God in our life? Yeah, that's what this Gita course all about. So let's. These questions will be answered very easily in the Gita course. Mantesh, is astrology true? Yeah, astrology is true, provided we know how to tap the benefits of astrology. Now we should know how to understand the Shastra. So astrology is basically a Shastra that is from the Vedic scriptures. So it is true. It is true. But nowadays we don't have people having deep knowledge about this Shastra. Deepayan's question, why today's generation feel ashamed to associate with their own culture and heritage that has been passed on to us from our ancestors and believe it not the trend? Why only Hindus are busy following secularism and not others? When will we understand the real meaning of secularism is treating everyone equally and not forgetting your own roots? This is the point that I was making, Deepayan. Yesterday I was making this point, and this is a very important point that you have made. So currently, what has happened is because of the British influence, our thought process is contaminated. We feel that only that which is foreign school and yo-yo. Yes, we feel that that is really great, and we feel our Indian culture is out of fashion. This is the problem. This is the problem which has come. And as I was mentioning yesterday, also, you see the media, how foolish the media is. When it comes to Hinduism, when it comes to Shastras, they direct various movies. Can you tell me one movie which is against the principles of Christianity, Islam, or any other religion? If they make one movie against that, they will be killed. And we so-called Hindus are so foolish, so foolish. We go to that movie, we watch, and we clap our hands also. That's how stupid we are. And why have we become stupid? Because we have rejected our own culture, especially the Vedic scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita. You look at Islam. I have got so many of my friends who are following Islam. They're so strict about reading Quran and doing 5-time namaz. I have my friends who are Christians. They read Bible regularly and they go every Sunday to church to attend the mass. And when it comes to Hindus, busy sleeping all the time. Not at all interested to understand what is given in Vedic scriptures. Now this is what is our state. And these sessions are meant to revive our Vedic culture. In fact, all of you all, you are so nice. All of you all are so pious. You all want to understand Bhagavad Gita. My request to all of you all is understand Bhagavad Gita nicely, apply in your life, and just by your application in your own life, you will set an example for people in general. And just by people observing you, they will start following our Vedic culture. We can revive. See, we youth can revive our Vedic culture back if we all of us come together and practice what is given in Bhagavad Gita. And the first step is sincerely, regularly attending these sessions. I request all of you all, don't miss even one session of Gita course, which is starting from next Sunday. Don't miss even one session. You'll be in a great loss if you miss it. And don't think that videos are recorded, I'll see it later. Mind will trick you. The mind will not allow you to see recorded videos. I tell you. So come live and see the live lectures which are there. Okay, we have Hemayang asking question. If Mahabharata and Ramayana shouldn't be called mythology, which I'm sure aren't just myth, yes, you're correct. What should we call it then? How should we correct if others make a mistake? So Hemayang, actually this is because of Lord Macauley's strategy, where he classified all the scriptures into something called as mythology. So people say mythology, and sometimes we like Ramayana and Mahabharata and we say, I like mythology. There are various educated people who do that. So what we can do is, for this particular thing, whenever we speak about Ramayana and Mahabharata, we call it as historical facts. We call it as historical facts. We call it as history. We don't call it as myth or mythology. We say it's history. We say it's historical facts. And when it comes to correcting others, only because we are attending these sessions, we are able to understand. If somehow we become very strong in the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, then we'll be able to correct others. Unless and until we are not strong with the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, we'll not be able to answer all the questions of people in general. So I request all of you all that please attend this Gita course very properly, sincerely and seriously, not for fun. Kuch nahi hai, Sunday evening, chalo aa gaye. No, not like that. Sincerely and seriously. In fact, the sincere students, I would request all of you all make notes when you're attending Gita sessions about various points which will help you to implement in your life. Okay, we have Satvik, who is the 9th avatar of Lord Vishnu. Okay, by the way, so you see when you say the numbers, so when you say Dasha Avatar, so Jaidev Goswami wrote a song, Dasha Avatar Stotram, and that is the reason these different avatars have become famous. But to be very frank, Bhagavatam very clearly describes that there are infinite number of incarnations of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Infinite. So when you say 9th or 10th or whatever, no, this is the sequence that you're asking from Jaidev Goswami's song, Dasha Avatar Stotram. So in that, that the 9th avatar which is there, if I'm not wrong, it's Gautam Buddha, and 10th one is Kalki avatar, from that song. So Ajit is asking, all sessions of Gita will be recorded. Yes, it will be recorded, but I would suggest that don't wait for recordings. Attend the live sessions. Satish's question, should we also read Bhagavad Gita parallelly with these sessions, or the sessions are enough to understand the contents of Gita? You can do that. We'll be discussing different shlokas and how to apply the shlokas in life. So if you really want to go deep, you can start reading. You can start reading from now itself. Start from the page 1 and start reading. Then you'll have questions to ask, and you can directly ask the questions live, and the speaker will answer your questions instead of you breaking your head. What does it mean and things like that. Satish, it shows that you're very sincere. You have this wonderful question. Rakesh, we want more Bhagavad Gita. We will attend even this session conducted daily. Yeah, we'll be happy to do that. But then, because of time constraint, it will be difficult because we have other sessions and counseling meetings, to attend. So it will be difficult. But Sundays, yes. Sundays surely we'll have. Manas, should we move to some other meeting application because the Zoom app is from China, so we shouldn't. Yeah, we analyzed a lot about this point. So we analyzed about this Zoom. So actually, the Zoom app is not a Chinese app. Obviously, the person who is leading, he's a Chinese, but the app is not Chinese app. Only one of the center or whatever that is there in China. One of the branches there in China. But that is not a Chinese app. And we will switch because many people are talking about it. Actually, Zoom is one of the best app to have these sessions. Very clear sound and clear video. But still, since many people are talking about this, so we'll switch. But currently, we have taken a long subscription, and we don't want to waste that money. It's Krishna's money, so we don't want to waste it. So we'll do it over Zoom for some time, and then when the subscription finishes, we'll switch to some other platform. Navneet, if God created this world, why aren't animals like birds having a book for them to understand Krishna consciousness? Your question, Navneet, will be answered in the Gita course. There's a deep question to understand. So basically, you're asking purpose of human beings and what is the purpose of animals and birds. And if not, then why Bhagavad Gita is meant only for humans? Why not for animals? These questions will be answered in your future sessions. Bal Murugan, is Sanskrit better than Tirukural? Now, Tirukural, I don't know if it's something from Tamil Nadu. I'm not sure. So basically, Sanskrit is the root, and all the other languages have come from that. That is the truth. Sanskrit is the root language for all the languages all around the world. So maybe this is also maybe a part or derivation from Sanskrit. If the only God is Krishna, why Brahma Shiva? Oh, this is an amazing question. There's one session called Who is my real boss? In that, your question will be answered. This is a frequently asked question about Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and so on. So Rakesh, your question will be answered. That's a nice question. When will complete pralaya happen? Don't worry, not very soon. So there is a youth scientific analysis that is given. There are durations of various ages that are given. So one session is termed as Kala. We'll be having one session called Kala. So you can go through that lecture that will be there in one of the sessions. So in that session on Kala, lots of things are described, and about Pralaya will also be described. The annihilation, partial and complete annihilation. Okay, so you can see that. So how many hours Lord Krishna took to tell Bhagavad Gita? If you believe, I'll tell you. It took 45 minutes straight. Only 45 minutes. Only 45 minutes. So that's a nice question, Ajit. So we would pause here today's discussion. I hope all of you all had a nice time. And I'm really very moved by all of you all. I can still see that we have such a great number of participants still there. Sumit Kumar, you're saying your question is still left. In this ocean of questions, I think we have missed your question. Please post your question back. We will answer. Yes, or you can send it to one of our volunteers, your question. They will answer your question, or they'll pass it on to me and I'll be able to answer the question. So thank you very much. It was really nice to have all of you all. And if possible, we still have 1 week from Monday to Saturday. So I request all of you all that please do mantra meditation. If possible, sit at one place for 5 minutes and do mantra meditation. And I bet you will see the changes from now itself. Okay, so we end today's session, and there are 2 final questions I'll take and I'll end. Why we take a life on this earth and why we die again. Your question will be answered in the Gita course. One of my friend wants to join, how she can join. This session is for unmarried boys. We'll have a session for girls and married people later in after Janmashtami, so she can join that. So you'll get the information about that soon. Okay. So for boys, we have kept separate session because there are various queries separately for boys. So we have kept it separately. मुझे भक्ति में बहुत इंटरेस्ट है और मैं जीवन भक्ति में बिताना चाहता हूँ, पर मेरी फैमिली की ख्याल आती है. Sumit, don't worry. Firstly, practice the bhakti aspect given Bhagavad Gita nicely, and then slowly and steadily you'll be able to get that strength to understand how to practice bhakti staying in the family. And if you're really interested to become a monk, yes, you can. There are various options. Okay, let me end now. It's already 8:30. Yes, I know you have a lot of questions. And someone is saying I've not been added to WhatsApp group. So we'll add you all in WhatsApp group. Anyone who's not in WhatsApp group, please post your number. We'll add you. Yes, our volunteers were busy, so they couldn't add you. So they'll add you now. So you can post your number here. And anyone who wants to get in touch with me, this is my number. Now, since people are less, I'm posting my number. But please don't ask something which is very, very silly. Ask something relevant when you WhatsApp me. Okay, so thank you very much. Meet you all next Sunday. Please come next Sunday for the session. The first session of Gita course. We're going to kickstart this wonderful course called Gita course next Sunday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.